Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of Standing 8. I'm Paul Fitzgerald and I'm joined by my co-host, three-time world champion and boxing hall of famer Jeff Fennick.
Great to be here, Paul.
And the voice of Australian boxing, Ben Damon.
G'day, Paul. Good to be here, mate. Really special guest, UFC Featherweight Champion Alex Volkanovski. Alex, thanks so much for coming and joining us on the show. Big couple of weeks or a month or so for you. Went over to Fight Island, retained your title. Congratulations on that. And then a couple of weeks in quarantine as well. So the highs and the lows.
Yeah, man. I always say that every time you fight the fighting careers, and it's like a roller coaster. The highs and lows throughout your whole career. It's just incredible. And that's a good example for it.
Man, I thought I was a big featherweight.
Yeah. Well,
weights.
We might talk a little bit about the losing weight process with Jeff Fennick and yourself, because I think it's changed quite a bit over the years. But let's talk about your most recent fight. What was the experience like of heading over to Fight Island?
Yeah, man, it was a process. The whole, obviously expected with what's going on, but it was just. I wasn't really in the loop with what had to happen, but they'll sort of give me a rough idea what was going on. But we didn't have an exemption to leave the country till about 6 hours before I actually got on the plane.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So it was they didn't tell me that. So I had to finish my harder session just before we left, and then they end up telling me, but we got it in time. But I mean the process, there was a lot of protocols and a lot that needed to be done, but it was pretty smooth. It was well done. Like UFC done a good job to make it as smooth as it was, to be honest.
Without doubt, Dana's doing a great job. I think he's the leader in sport at the moment. I mean, we've had some boxing shows, but the UFC.
He is, but
kicking goals.
He did come out after your fight and say that he thought you lost the fight. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, man. It's just it's
about time a freaking Aussie got a decision. That
was it was a tough fight.
Well, man, it's a close fight. You always get he's the type of guy that he's a stretcher. He's just going to tell you what he thinks. And to be quite honest, obviously Max Holloway's one of their guys. You know what I mean? He sells
and a legend.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And he's he's marketable for them. He's money to them. That's how they look at it. And I'm still coming up. To be quite honest, but. I'm there now, and he's pretty vocal with whatever he thinks, but he's done it before, so I'm not the only person he's ever said that to.
And you think he wants the third fight as well?
Yeah, he does, but I mean now he's obviously backpedaling with that a little bit. He knows that's just silly. It's a close fight. He probably looked at the stats, seen the numbers, and then realised, all right. I probably was a bit harsh.
You fought him twice now. You've beat him twice.
Exactly right. Yeah. Again, look, it was a close fight. Credit to him. We've done a great job, but we've got judges for a reason.
How long was your fight camp leading up to that fight?
6 weeks. So it was a shorter camp than usual. Usually I do it, anywhere from 8 plus.
Did you feel better? Because I'm a strong believer. If you're keeping fit and stuff, some of these guys who tell me they're training for 8 and 10 weeks. Man, listen, I look at it this way. If you're fit and healthy like Brock is, and man, we can get ready. We'll be ready in 4 weeks. We can be ready in 3 weeks. It's just about getting the sparring done and stuff. But did you feel fresher?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like if I usually stay reasonably fit. I like to be. I wouldn't say fight fit. There's a difference between fight fit and being fit. So, but it usually takes me a few weeks. So a few weeks into my camp, I was fit enough. But just to stay sharp, work game plans, and we have a structure from about 8 weeks out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So people have this structure and have these beliefs that it takes you 8 weeks or it takes you 10 weeks, and you've got to do this. And again, you can't have sex before you fight. I mean, like I said, I had sex the night before I fought every day. I had sex the day I fought. So, but I'm just saying, people believe that, and if it's in your head, that's what you believe. And if you don't believe it, it's like I said, that's one of the reasons why I never I took vitamins and took things, but I never ever relied on them, because you've got these guys that come to the gym and said, I didn't have that drink today, I'm not gonna feel good because I didn't have a drink or they didn't have any vitamins. So but like I said, I just think that we're so regimented and people just believe that that's how it should be. But I mean if you train hard,
Did you have sex the day of your fights, did you just say?
Too right I have, yeah.
How did that impact you? Did it affect you at all? Did you have a relaxing experience for those, or did you?
I'll tell you a little story. I remember years ago.
He was trying to lose weight.
This is a true story. Like Johnny Lewis told me this. He said, because he knew my habits and stuff. He said to me, Jeff, do me a favour. It was when I was going to have my first rematch with Satoshi Shingaki, the 15-round rematch for the IBF title. Yep. And he said, Jeff, promise me you're not going to. And Ben, for 1 week, I didn't. 1 week before the fight.
Right.
The day of the fight, a friend of mine happened to pop into the room and say hello to me, and women weak in legs. I don't think so. I don't know. Paulie says women weak in legs. I don't believe him.
Yeah, the fight went right.
what was that? That was like, well, Mike Tyson used to say it as well. Or I guess everyone would have said like not to do it, because of the testosterone or something. Yeah, but
I think that's the theory. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they reckon that it's now that you know, if you obviously release, you generate new testosterone.
Build up more testosterone.
They reckon it's better. So they've actually.
You're ahead of the curve.
Step ahead, mate.
He's a scientist. He's a scientist.
Alex, with your limited fight camp, the 6 week, do you think that was a strategy by the UFC to give you a short amount of time to prepare, or what are your thoughts?
There's a lot of conspiracies around.
Mate, look, to me, I'm going to stay away from all that, but at the same time, I mean, like, I'll still answer, but I mean, you know, there's plenty of things that makes you think like, mate, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, if you really were into the conspircies, there's a few things that I
guess what the great thing is
manipulating as well.
But guess what the great thing is, you can do it in 6 weeks now, as long as you
just
stay in there. And like I said, sometimes having 8 weeks and sparring that little bit extra sometimes can take the edge off you. And I tell everybody, it's better to have the engine a little underdone than if it's overdone, it's burnt out. When it's underdone and you're an athlete like you are, and I've watched you and read up about you and spoke to Mark Bross about you, who's one of your great fans. And when you're prepared to work hard, wow, 6 weeks, for me, that's all you need.
I agree 100% with you. When I say, like, it probably takes me, as I said, when I started to get fit where I'm comfortable with my fitness, probably only took a few weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
Just again, with our structure that we try and do, again, perfect, the camp we try and save it.
But that's what they think's perfect.
Exactly right. So that's where people are like, oh, we'll do this, and then we ease into it. We don't get stuck into it. When then in the last couple of weeks, you build more strength, and there are a lot. They try and all the 1%, they say. Which, look, I don't mind doing it. Again, I've went through the process and I've felt really good. So but I don't think that people have to have, as you said, 8 weeks to get ready. Because I got fit, and I know I got fit enough within.
It took Jeff Hardy 10 days to be the light heavyweight champion of the world against a great fighter, and we got 10 days notice. He went over there because he was relatively fit. He trained every day. He went over and won the light heavyweight championship of the world. So I mean, like I said, a lot of it's this mental game, and for me, it's a great experience for him to know that you still you challenged yourself and you done it, and you brought the title back home. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's just. With the isolation and all that type of stuff was a little bit different, because usually I'm in the gym, like, anywhere from 3-4 sessions a day, all throughout the year. You know what I mean? I'm in the gym doing the hours, and you didn't really get to do that before. I got the exemption, and then. Yeah. That's when you had to really stick it.
I hope a couple of those sessions aren't all trained. I hope you're having a bit of enjoyment while you're in there as well.
Yeah, of course. You've got to have a bit of fun. Look, so anyway, the last 2 sessions, I like it sounds better when I say 3-4. But the last 2 sessions of the day, it's pretty much, you could say it's 1, but it's just back to back like that. So I say 4. Makes me sound...
you're working harder.
Yeah, exactly.
Alex, I'm a strong believer. Like I said, I hear all these people saying how we train for 4 and 5 hours. The body can't really take that. So I'm one of these guys that it's a quality, not quantity. Like I try to get in there. Young Brock runs in the morning, and he does his boxing and everything in the one session in the afternoon. We don't go to the gym 3 or 4 times, because my priority is for Brock to come and, when he does his boxing training, to be the best he can box. I don't want him to have sore legs from somebody giving him some leg work, or sore shoulders from something else. He wants to shine when he boxes, and that's the most important thing. When he walks out of the gym in the afternoon, he says, wow, I boxed well late, I feel well late, what am I doing? It's because he's fresh when he gets in the ring. A lot of these guys get it back to front, and by the time they get there to do your sparring, and they've done all this other stuff during the day, and they think, wow, what's wrong with me today? What was wrong with you? You've done a 2-hour session early before you've done what you're supposed to do, and what you want to do the best is your MMA, your fighting, your striking, your wrestling.
You're right. It's got to be, structure to how you do it as well. So if I just go there and bust my ass every single session, I'm going to be 60% every session. It's not good enough. So obviously a lot of them sessions are, tapered right down, technique. And the beauty of MMA, I guess, you got so many aspects of the game that you've got to work as well, whether it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, if you're doing strength and things like that, striking, boxing, kickboxing. So it's all right. But again, you're 100%, I have to agree with you with the fact that, there's times where I used to try and train as hard as I could. I would do the 3-4 sessions and try and bust my ass.
I've done the same. I've got glandular fever once from training too hard.
Overtraining, 100%.
The motor got burnt out.
I used to get staph infections. I used to get crook all the time. That would happen from overtraining, and that's very common. So that's why you got to really know what you're doing. There's times if we're a little run down, we'll have the morning off, or most of the time it's tapered. It'll be maybe one hard session. If not, especially with the 6 weeks, you'd think that we'll try and fit more in the 6 weeks, but it was all about quality. So we end up probably knocking a couple of sessions off, but worked on very fight specific sort of, we've got names for them, but, they were like, meat grinder, we call it. And it sounds pretty bad. Ben Damon. Sounds, yeah. So, it's just, we did things like that, spider workouts. So it was pretty crazy sort of workouts that we'll do. But again, you couldn't do like all these sessions. So we'll make sure we'll do something like in the morning and then we'll finish with that.
Yeah, that's why it surprised me. And no disrespect him, because I'm a huge fan of George Gamboa, but like kind of says he trains for 4 or 5 hours a day every day, and it's impossible. It's impossible. I mean, I don't care who it is. Let him come and try to do an hour and a half session with us and see if he can do it. I mean, I just know it's impossible to push your body or to try. You shouldn't even do it. You shouldn't put your body in that position to think that it's capable of doing that. I mean, you run a marathon, you're done. That's a couple of hours. You need a month or so off. You have a fight like you did, or you fight 12 or 15 rounds and you need to go and have a break, you need to rest,
Alex, adding to that conspiracy theory thing, you were drug tested. They woke you up to drug test you the night before the fight. Did. The fight was local time, like 7 a.m. or something as well, I believe. So you would have been well and truly asleep by the time they came around. And
it's not like it was, sorry, we didn't know you were sleeping. I was pretty vocal about it. Like,
well, they wouldn't know.
Everyone knows, like, I think everyone was doing the sleeping patterns like that. But, I was trying to go to bed at 7 and then wake up around 3 a.m. because I wanted to be up for a few hours before I fought. Yeah. And I wanted to be used to that time, so I did that all week. And again, I was letting everyone know about that. Like, we even changed our schedules and everything, like, media schedules to make sure it worked. And they did most of it because they knew everyone would do that anyway. But there was they come in and then I get woken up by my coach, and he's just like, then tells me what's going on. I'm like, now? Are you serious? What's going on here? So I'm chucking my clothes on. I can hear him abusing them, and like, it was well, good on him. You should. Like, I couldn't believe it. I'm just like, funny, what's going on here?
I've got another story for you. Do you remember what I've done with Jeff Hardy, do you? You know this story, Alex? I was in Atlantic City after I'd retired and I played football, and I went over to watch Jeff Hardy fight. And I got into a big fight in the casino, and it was pretty serious because all the police were looking for this Australian boxer. And Jeff Hardy, this is the night.
Jeff.
This is the night before he fought. And like I said, he had 10 days' notice. He's asleep, and the police go and knock on his door and go to arrest him. You in a fight? What do you mean? I'm asleep. I'm fighting for the world title. I'm like, no, you're the boxer in Australia. Anyway, they had to go and get confirmation that he had left his room, but they were really looking for me. But they woke him up.
But he went back to sleep and he won the light heavyweight world title, so it worked out fine.
Oh, yeah. It's funny when you talk about the USADA. So they come in and, like, again, it's not a easy process either. It's not just like, pissing the cup.
Somebody wants to watch it.
Yeah, so that's crazy, I'll get into this story. You like this one. So I'm going in there.
We like it. Did you like it?
Yeah, we all like it, I think. But we go in. So I wake up to go to the toilet because and then I go back to sleep, and that's when I get woken up. So I just went to the toilet.
Oh wow!
So I'm like, I wake up, get woken up, and they're like, you need to go to the toilet. I'm like, you're kidding. I just pissed like, half an hour ago or something because I woke up to do a piss.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, far out. So I'm trying, I end up getting like 20 mils or something. Start sculling. So I had to water load so I could piss. Yeah. So I'm starting to, remember, I've got to go back to sleep. I'm pissing all night. It's just ridiculous. So I end up doing it. And then the thing is, sometimes you need to do it two to do the one.
Yeah.
So and they got to be there. So they're watching me hang a shit, you know what I mean? So I could try and piss in the cup.
Well, they have deserved it, I guess, for turning up at that time.
Can I say something?
I just look up and go, sorry, mate.
Well, now, the more that I hear this has to be it's not a conspiracy theory, but they try to, I'm going to say, because I don't like to swear on the podcast, but they try to fuck you over, brother.
Mate,
they know the routine. Dana White knows you don't wake a fighter up the day before he fights. She's fought. Those people know that stuff. So I don't, that would, if I was your trainer, brother, they wouldn't be in your room.
Do you know if Holloway was tested?
Hey?
Was Holloway tested?
I don't know. So, there was another one of the guys as well that was tested. So,
probably.
Peter Yarn, so he was one of the other title fights.
Yeah.
I think he got woken up to piss as well.
Okay.
So, it was just a...
Did they want him to lose as well?
Hey?
Maybe.
It was against Aldo, so you never know. But
there you go, see?
Yeah, that's,
No, it's crazy.
Ridiculous.
Who would do that to an athlete? Your sleep is the most important part of anything prior to competing. You need sleep. That's crazy. I've never heard that before. No, wow.
Yeah, they decided to do it on the fight night.
Just incredible,
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
But that's what I mean. Look, you could, I can't, obviously I'm just like, it doesn't matter, I won, don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But then you can go right into it and you can, obviously you start talking about bias commentary and all that, which is pretty common, you know what I mean? But then you got these stats that I don't know how they can get them so wrong. You know what I mean? These stats that you're looking at, they can be showing that he's 10 ahead this third round, and then the official stats come out and I'm 10 ahead. So it's like, it's a very easy way to, and then someone's watching a fight. It's a close fight. You've got to give it that. But I mean, there's certain direction you can go somewhere, and you can easily manipulate people's minds. But I mean, again, doesn't matter. The judges, they don't see none of that shit. They see what's in front of them. We got the job done. That's what matters.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were pretty confident in the fight, though, that you had won the fight after the 5 rounds.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
The first 2 pretty clearly went against you.
Yeah, exactly right.
But
so
after
we know how it works, and you got to remember, for boxing, see in MMA. You get knocked down, even though they actually didn't say it was a knockdown because I just went to a knee anyway. But still, you don't get 10-8s for that. So you need to, it doesn't work like that. But at the end of the day, it's the most significant strike. It was the most damage done. So you got to give it to him. You know what I mean? You got to give them rounds to him. We knew that. Even though they were pretty competitive before that, then he finished the round strong. All right, he's got that. We knew that going into the third round. We knew we're 2 behind. We've got to start working. So the third round goes, which is the one that everyone's sort of talking about. But then, my coaches are we're pretty confident. We're like, all right, we need the next one. If we lose any of these next 3, from third onwards, we lose this fight. You know what I mean? So that's why we won. Then the 4th we won, and we're like, we need this last one. You know what I mean? And obviously his corner's saying the same to him. It's close. You need to win this last round. So, but again, you had to dig deep and get the job done. We did it.
So have they told you now that you're not going to be forced into another fight with Max, or
look, it's at the end of the day, I did the rematch for him already. You know what I mean? Like,
but they still might try and push you there.
Oh, yeah, maybe. They pretty much pushed the rematch that we already had. Like, honest. You even have Max saying that, that I was calling for the fight before the fight. He's saying that I don't know. Is he acting like a champion? He's calling for the fight, and I'm like, not really. I had no choice, so I may as well just run with it.
Yeah.
That was all that was offered to me. All right, fine. Let's do it anyway. I think that's still the biggest fight in our division. So that's how I looked at it. Biggest fight in the division, biggest for me.
The greatest challenge, mate.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think for the division, it was the biggest fight. For my profile, the biggest fight, and this card that it was going to be on as well. I was like, it's a big opportunity. Stuff it, let's do it. You know what I mean? And then, he got that chance. But to just give him another chance, as I said, what do I just keep going until I lose, until he wins? And then, you know what I mean? It's just, and look, they understand that. They're gonna know. So we've got our eyes on all the other guys in the division. And it's a stacked division too. So we've got, a lot of contenders, and it's exciting division.
But your road to the UFC Championship, you fought all the top guys. Jose Aldo, Max Holloway twice. You didn't have an easy ride to become the featherweight champion.
Well, it's just how has it always been? You shoot for the ranks, right? There's a ranking system for a reason, yeah. And sometimes it's starting to change a little bit. Especially in UFC. It's just crazy. Like, you've got even these guys was meant to fight. He's another guy that they're probably going to start trying to push in our division. He was meant to fight Yair Rodriguez, and then he got injured. So he's like just thinking he's just going to get the title shot now. And as if I'm going to be the replacement. I'm the champ and I'm going to replace this guy. And I'm just like, mate, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? It's just funny how people just, as I said before, I earned my shot. I was like, I earned this. It wasn't given to me. I earned this shot.
Too right, you did.
And now I'm telling my contenders, that's what you got to do. I'm an easy champ to understand. Get yourself number 1 contender, you get the shot. Plain and simple.
They love the story, the UFC fraternity, about you being a rugby league player and being much bigger. They tend to say that you were 240 pounds, but you're 214 pounds, which is 97 kilos. But it's a huge body transformation you've been through. Yeah,
it was definitely. I've always been heavy set. You know what I mean? Just even as a kid, I've always had that bigger build and I love my burek and my foods like that. So I've just always been bigger. And then playing rugby league, yeah, man, I had a massive head too. You should have seen the size of my head. That's something that always, when I look at the photo, I just think, look at that head, man. It's a blowout, eh? But it was definitely a big transformation.
Great team name too, Wirrilla Gorillas.
Wirrilla Gorillas, yeah.
It's brilliant.
I looked a bit like a gorilla, mate, I'm telling you. So I was just, like I said, I was as wide as I was tall, but I just had tree trunks and legs, and it's just, but, just slowly, wanted to, even my last year of football, I ended up getting down to about 88 kilograms, which is pretty light for me in my football days. So I was like, and that's when I ended up having a couple of fights, my last year of footy, and won a couple of fights. I go, I'm pretty good at this, let's take it on.
Yeah.
And that's when we took it on, and now look, so it was a good decision.
Yeah, great decision.
Do you think it's because you had a preference for an individual sport over a team sport as well that you managed to really cling on to this path?
That is something that I love. I love
Right.
about fighting. The fact that obviously it's still a team. You still got your coaches. You still got, a lot of people in preparation for you. But at the same time, you don't put the hard work in, and
Well, the other thing which is more important, nobody can help you. I mean, we can have the best
Exactly
people
right.
in the world.
So if
you've got to put. Well, the player they give you got to go out there and put in the play. And I mean, like I said, every time I watch you now, I what I'm liking more and more about is you're trying to make your opponent fight your fight. If you fight somebody else's fight, you lose. It's as simple as that. If you make them fight your fight, you'll be successful. And one of the things that even saddens me more is that I just don't think that the Australian media have supported him or Robert enough. I just think that they deserve a lot more. I remember when everything I done from the front page of paper, the back page of paper and stuff, and it's our only world champion at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Deserves so much more. I mean, oh wow.
What are your thoughts on that? Obviously, we think you should be a bigger star in Australia, and a lot of people do. How do you think you're received here by the mainstream media?
Yeah, look, it's still growing. Like MMA is obviously getting much bigger and bigger, so you obviously definitely getting the headlines a little bit more. But yeah, you're right. It's probably not as much as we'd like.
But that's
something we need to push
me.
more.
He's saying that all everybody talks about now is MMA. I mean, for me, there should be a columnist, somebody who writes on these guys every day. It should be like was a boxing writer. It should be a writer who's going to continually put these guys where they need to be. So
Do you think a bit of it comes back to the fact that the UFC aren't based here, that there isn't, they're not really pushing towards our media here? Do you think that's probably a negative for you?
Yeah, I guess so. And obviously we've got so many other sports that are really big here too as well. So it's just
still champ. You're a world
exactly right. Yeah, so 100%. I agree with that. But the things are it's definitely changing. So compared to after my last fight to now, obviously it's definitely more and more. But I mean, at the same time, it's never enough. We want as much as we can. So, but yeah, you're right. It's definitely not where it should be. But hey, that's why we're just going to keep pushing and do what we can.
But you are starting to get the purses by the sounds of things in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, that's starting to change as well. It might not be like your golf or some of the numbers you see the boxing get and stuff like that. But it's obviously definitely.
But it's better than the Warilla Gorillas.
Yes. Definitely better than the local scene in Australian MMA as well.
Alex, you've got a bit of a background in wrestling. You did a bit of Greco-Roman wrestling, but most of your fights to date have been sort of stand-up brawls. How come you don't sort of focus on or take them to the ground and do a bit more wrestling?
Yeah, it's just. Man, it's again like with game planning and things like that. So I like to say I'm well rounded. I can take the fight anywhere. I believe I'm in our division without tooting my own horn. I believe I can out grapple pretty much everyone. I think I can out strike everyone as well, which is pretty good. You know what I mean? If I feel like if I'm struggling somewhere, I've got other ways to go. So. You watch my earlier fights. If you watch my first 4 or 5 fights in the UFC, you'd think I'm a grappler. And that's what a lot of people just thought I was a grappler. Now everyone watches my last fights and they think I'm just a striker.
Do you feel safer standing up, or do you feel safer on the
ground? Yeah, I'd say safer on the ground, definitely. You know what I mean? It's just, cause especially when there's so much on the line with a fight. And, it's MMA, small gloves, they say. And just like in boxing, you could be one punch away from, and that's it. So obviously it's always going to be a little bit different on the feet. But again, like you said, just make them fight your fight.
Yeah, so how much boxing training do you do, Alex?
I do it, not just boxing by itself, but we do get boxing guys come in and we do the rounds, and I do a fair
really good boxing guy that'd love to help you, mate.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ben. No, I'd love to. I'd love to.
For sure.
No, Jeff, I'd love to put you through some workouts, I'm sure. But
so I bring my gear. Ready. I was like, maybe after the podcast.
Just have that left arm ready to drink some ice.
There we go. So we'll do some weights training.
But you have had one professional boxing fight here in Sydney.
Yes.
Will you look to do that again at some point?
Oh, mate, yeah, I reckon. Like, I love it. I love boxing.
Yeah.
And it's, and even the I boxed back then, like the the boxing I can do now compared to then, is much better. But it's still obviously something that I'd like to do later. Obviously, it's a whole different kettle of fish, especially when, these guys have been doing boxing their whole life. But it's definitely something that after UFC, if we can make a big fight happen, that's something I'm definitely
So would you look to do like a one-off?
Now we obviously can't.
Would you try and sort of make a little run
I
at it?
don't think it. No, it'd probably be more of a, we'll see what fight we can sort of get. It excites me. You know what I mean? Like I said, that's why
it makes sense,
I like that.
Especially the weight you are. Like there's plenty of...
for sure, 100%.
Do you know Justin Fitzgerald?
Justin Fitzgerald.
The boxing trainer that trains...
He trains Rob Whittaker.
Rob Whittaker.
Does his boxing.
Yes, I do know.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
He
trained Sakya.
Yeah, he trained... He was like an apprentice to me. He was at
Okay,
LGM,
Yeah, so he's tight with Whittaker's team now and does a lot of his training, but he's done really well.
I've met him a few times, sorry. I'm bad with names, man.
Yeah.
Bad with names. But it's just, I love it. It was the reason why I had that boxing fight was just because I couldn't get any fights in Australia. I was struggling, really struggling to get opponents, and then we're like, man, I want to fight. I need to stay competitive. Give me a boxing match. And because I was MMA pro, I had to go pro boxing. So who did I end up?
Dylan Bajero, you fought.
Bajero.
Dylan. Yeah. And he won it on points. I think you dropped him in the first round and then won on points. Is that right?
Yeah, it was points. So he was tough. I landed some big shots, but he was tough there for sure. But he had a lot of.
His dad fought Anthony Mundine and a few others.
So going into that, I didn't really know the father, but I mean his dad ended up telling me that. I was told about his dad, big in boxing and things like that. So I knew he had a lot of amateur fights and stuff. So that was his debut as well. So it was interesting. Like I said, I just wanted to do it to stay competitive, stay active.
Did you always know you were going to be a champion? Was that was the mindset going into MMA?
Well, I think so.
Yeah, look, but I mean, like, I think that's everyone's sort of like, man, before I was even training MMA.
Well, I don't actually ever know you're going to be. Of course, we all aspire. You wish to be inspired. That's what you think. Wow, how great would it be? But
but I think Alex pictured himself with the UFC belt before he'd ever had a fight.
I wasn't even in training at the time.
Yeah, right.
I wasn't even wrestling back then. I might have wrestled, but I wasn't even training MMA, and I loved UFC, and I used to watch it. This is back in like Ken Shamrock and Tito days.
Yeah.
And, I was watching, I was like, just picturing myself, listening to music and, like me, holding up a belt and things like that. And I'm going to be champ one day. I even said it to people I was watching. Like, they would have looked at me like, this idiot. But, like, hey, I didn't lie. So, that's it. But, it was, it's something that I've always loved. I've always loved martial arts, all martial arts, So it's something I was always going to do. And wrestling, was a big part of me growing up, even though I only done 1 or 2 years. But it's just, it's just always, even me and my brother just wrestling, they're just bashing each other.
So the weight cut, how hard is it?
The weight cut,
what do you lose?
I lose about 7 kilograms probably in the week.
In the last week?
So I'll probably do about, anywhere from 4 to 5. I used to get like the way I did it, but now I'm doing a little bit different. I'll hold a little bit more right to the end of the week, and then so I stay a bit more healthy and got my energy, and then I'll just lose it. But about anywhere from 4 kilos the night of. So I've done like 7 kilograms within the 24 hours, and that was after already depleting myself. So that was tough. Bad. That wasn't in the UFC. That was my first featherweight fight, and mate, I never wanted to do that to my body ever again. That's not healthy. It's crazy.
Right. So, and what's your process in losing the weight?
So you go the fight week. Usually, you got a pretty got a nutritionist and got a dietitian on board, and which helps a lot, especially when you want to train. And as we're talking about, you need to have them energy levels, about recovery, and if you're going to do solid sessions, you want to have the right foods, you want to have the energy for it, and things like that. So you need to eat well, and you need to recover. So but you need to sort of lose weight at the same time. So you do all that, and then the last week is when you really start water loading. And then you start.
That would be the opposite.
Can we compare to what you used to do, Jeff?
For me, and even as a trainer, my thing now is, of course, as our boys are cutting, I would tell the sparring partners, listen, they're cutting weight. We're here to help you. You're here to help us. You do what I do. I mean, I remember when I trained Tyson, I would tell people exactly what to do. Told them, tie your hands up behind your back and throw a punch. You're not going to throw a punch because it's my job. I'm looking after mine. Yep. But me, I used to, I wouldn't have half a bottle of water a day. We were dead against drinking, and I'd spar 15 rounds, not have a sip of water. You would never drink water, So and again, to this day now, as a trainer, I would like my boys to lose the last 3 or 4 kilos, the day, 2 days prior to it, because I'm this kind of guy. I believe in this, that your stomach's this big. If it shrinks a week early, it's going to get used to staying that big, and when you want to try to put that weight back on it, you know, and you go to the toilet, you get there. So I just try to do it right at the end.
Yeah,
that's
man.
That's what I've learned. Just experience, you know.
Yeah, man, 100%.
But back then, like, we never drank water, and we never knew about this.
Yeah.
Drinking all this water, you know. Yeah, it's,
Mate, so that's tough, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I could only imagine, because even fight week, even though we still eat now, I'm still eating pretty good, but you can still notice that, you know, a couple of weeks before you had more energy levels because it starts to taper a little bit more. But I mean, you know, fight week especially. But I mean, I could only imagine like not drinking and then barely eating anything and still having to train. So that's hard work. But now, again, you know, the knowledge is there. There's a bit of knowledge there, and you're right about the stomach shrinking and all. That's why I eat reasonably good.
I'm still scared of telling Brock and the drink all that water. I'm like, hey, where's it going to go?
Yeah, but have you spoken to people about maybe that's the way that you should?
I have, and I've spoken
and it's
to
hard
Brock,
for you because you didn't do it.
Yeah. And that's why Brock looks at me and doesn't want to do it, because he knows I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, he can do whatever Jeff done. I mean, maybe I was crazy, but I done it, you know. But I'm worried. Like, there's one day, Alex, that I had to fight, and I had broken my hand, so I went into a health farm and I couldn't make weight. So they told me that I would relinquish the title the day of the fight, but I didn't want to. So the morning of the fight, I ended up running, because I used to run 5K every day. I did my 5K run 3 times, and we weighed in the day of the fight, we weighed in at 12 o'clock.
That's tough too.
So I lost my last like 6 pounds that morning. Yeah, well, that night and morning without eating or drinking. I hadn't drank for days, and you know, it was I'll never forget that. After the last run, I went to walk up the stairs, lived in that little house at Erskine stairs, and Peter Matreski was there, and I just collapsed. I fainted because I had no energy left, you know. And when I went to the weigh-in, I'll never forget my mum looking at me crying because she thought I was going to die because I'd been dehydrated, my face was all sucked and sucked in and stuff. But no, you know. And went to fight that night, you know. And in the 6th round, wow, he hit me with a big hook and rocked the hell out of me, and you know,
Yeah, we still see a lot of fighters today, don't we, who do the weight the wrong way, particularly in professional boxing. You would have seen a lot of blokes who really struggle on the scales. Yeah,
well, like I said, I can't convince Brock to do it that way, because he's old school and has looked at me and looked at everything that I've done. So it's hard, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
So it's like I said, when somebody tells me they can drink, I don't know, how many litres of water.
So I'll drink, like, especially, you know, a couple of days out, I'm drinking anywhere from 8 to 10 litres.
So, but you must be sitting on the toilet all night.
I stop a little bit early, so I'm not on the toilet all night. But I literally, like, just to help you with it, I literally probably lose maybe 1 kilo a day from doing that. So it's hard to comprehend. You think, I'm going to hold a lot more water, but when you start, like, say, you cut your carbs and sodiums, you start depleting of, like, that's flush. It's like going in the sauna and sweating, right? And then that's sort of just releasing it a different way, and all the toxins and all that. So that's again, I don't know the full science behind it, but I know enough that, you know, and I've tried it.
It's working.
So it's been working. So that's why, again, like, it's just, it would be hard to do it, how you said, back in them days, like same day weigh-in and that, like, because they still do that in some sports, like some maybe amateur boxing, but people still try and cut the weight. So you get wrestlers that are they're still trying to cut weight but fight or compete the same day.
That's just crazy.
That's dangerous.
Being an amateur boxer and fighting at the Olympics or the World, any of those Australian title, you might have 3 fights in 3 days, and you've got to every time you make weight,
back down,
put the weight back on. You've got to lose it again. Like, back in those days, people taking tablets to go to weed, to poo, and yes, you know, I remember being in Northern Ireland, and that was my first ever trip overseas in the world, in the Commonwealth titles, and man, a couple of my mates made me eat and drink with them, and next thing I'm looking on the scales, I got back, I was up all night because I'd fill a bucket up with urine and went to the toilet because I'd taken Laxets, or else I couldn't have made weight.
Yeah.
That's not helpful.
Sounds good fun.
Nah.
How's your life changed, Alex, since becoming the UFC champion?
Yeah,
has it changed?
Yeah, it's changed. It's changed. It's just weird. For me, I'm just a regular bloke, you know what I mean? That's the difference. So I'm doing the whole world champion thing, but at the same time, I get home, I'm just dad, you know what I mean? That's it. Like, I forget about everything. You know, my kids don't give a shit that I got a shiny belt, you know what I mean? So they're still going to give me shit. They're still going to wake me up 5 a.m. So it's, you know what I mean? As soon as I'm home, I'm just daddy. But then obviously, you know, things are different.
Alex, I remember saying that for quite a few years. Nothing's ever, mate. You things change without you even recognise they change, without you giving credit for them changing. I mean, like I said, even when I was world champ, where I'd eat at home every night. Then you'd eat at a restaurant. You think you can get away with it. Where I ran at 5 every morning, I'd run at 7 o'clock, and things change with success, fame, and fortune changes everybody. Look, hopefully it won't, but I don't really believe I've spoken to anybody that hasn't really changed.
Do you think it's helped you that the success has come a little bit later, or not late? You're only 31 or something now, but the success of becoming a world champion came a little bit later in your sports career?
I don't know. It's just, again, man, I don't know if I'm just bred different to something, because I literally just play what's in front of me with everything.
You've got to realise this. I remember I fought Carlos Zarate.
Yeah.
He just had 12 fights back, won the whole 12, 11 by knockout.
Yeah.
When he made his comeback, and I think he was 29 or 30. Everybody, he was too old, but 30's not old anymore. Things have changed. 30's not old anymore.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
it's different.
Look at life today. He was past I think he might have been 28 or something.
Yeah.
He was an old man. He was past.
It's all changed.
And when I fought Daniel Zaragoza, it was the same. He was 26 or 27. He had just lost his first fight ever, and he's in the Hall of Fame now. But he went on after I beat him to become world champion, hold that for another 5 or 6 years. But so age is really a number these days if you do things right and you look after your body. And you've got a good team that know how hard to push you and when to push you at that age. I think you see that in rugby league with the Cameron Smiths, and they have a day off, and they have to go to training because they're ready for what they have to do. They're match fit,
Back to what you were just saying, like you're probably right when you're saying you don't really notice it. Like, because again, I'm just me. I'm the same guy I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But like here I am going like, not much has changed, but I think the last 4 nights I've been in hotels that they've wanted me to stay there, and you know what I mean. And we're going out dinners and things like that. You know what I mean? So it's weird. You're right. You don't. Again, I'll do that, and then I'll go back home and I'll forget all about that. Yeah. But I mean, it definitely changed. Obviously, I can't be out as much.
Yeah, of course. But then everybody asks you.
It's obviously a little bit different.
Everybody asks you,
as a person, I guess,
and you still want to be that modest guy that everybody really. But
I literally do forget though. I walk the streets, and then I'm just walking, and then someone will be like, "Oh, hey, can I get a photo?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, shit."
That's right.
You know what I mean? Honestly,
have you got the same mates?
Forget about it.
The same mates that you had?
Yeah, everyone.
Okay.
And that's
I think that's an important part.
That's what I mean by I'm still this guy I was.
Yeah.
Even when I everything that I used to do, I still do with them. So I'll have a catch up with them, and I'll just tell a few of the guys and expect, usually when we're younger, we'll just tell the guys, "Oh yeah, we're going here." Then they tell everyone, we all go there and we go out. I do it, and then I don't tell everyone. There's people that miss out, and they're like, "Oh, you didn't tell me." So fuck, I thought the boys would, That's how we always used to do it.
See, Ben, that's maybe what you said, that you are a little lucky that you've done it all. Because I remember when I started to fight, and I was in these gangs that all these people that I was with constantly every day, and I couldn't go out with them. I was still not my friends, but they were kind of cranky at me. "Hey, you don't come out with us anymore. You don't." That was when I was 19, 20. Because I was in bed every night at 8 o'clock. I was up at 5, and but you maybe are a little lucky because that age, you were still with them during that prime. And still, of course, they can love you even more now and want to do that. But no, a good point, Ben.
Thanks.
What do you think makes you so successful, Alex, or has made you successful?
Man, I guess we talk about it a lot of times, and I can't hit the nail. Every time I talk about it, I find, as I'm explaining things, I'm finding little things. Man, it's just from a young age, and just always pushing myself, never settling for whether. And if there's a challenge in front of me, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to adapt to it, and I'm just going to get it done. I've always done that, with everything, and I think that's just made me obviously, when you look at my last fights or whatever it is, a lot of people know me as the hard worker and can go for days, and the gas tank, and I really do think that's helped me to be where I am. And I don't know, it's just from a young age, just being a hard worker. I can't really tell you exactly where it come from, but all I know is that you put a puzzle in front of me, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to try to anyway. You know what I mean? I've just always been like that. And, through life experience, whatever it is, I've just adapted and just made it work for me. And that's and just through experience.
That's
it's
your
just
upbringing.
Made me, exactly. And that's why
that's that WOG upbringing. You those parents that you watched work their backsides off for you. And I was the same, Alex. I was the smallest kid in the footy team, but I always trained hard. I always tried to tackle more than anybody else because I wanted to get that recognition. I thought, I deep down I knew I was never going to be as great as it, but I wanted to be. So I just worked. I tried to work as hard as I could to make people recognise what I done, and it was just as important. Like I said, I mightn't have scored a try, but I would have done 20 more tackles than anybody else in the game. And I was, like I said, I was half their size. And I can feel it in you, and it's great,
Do you have a plan in terms of your career, like how long you're going to go for, whether you're going to go up in weight, like what you want to sort of achieve before you can be happy to walk away?
Yeah, I guess I haven't properly planned the career, because you never know. I guess
you don't want to think about it a lot of the
Yeah,
time,
exactly. But I mean, I know I can't fight forever, so obviously you need to think for the future and things like that. But it's just again, I still think I've definitely got a few fights left in me, a few more years, that's for sure. So I guess I'll just through fighting, I'll just worry about that. But obviously, there's a lot that needs to be done outside of fighting because you can't fight forever, and you need to obviously look for your future, and that that's a big deal. So we're just trying to obviously look into that and do what we can right now.
Yeah, definitely. What's your status like in the States? Obviously, Jeff Fenech is huge in the States, and as he is here, what's your profile like there?
Well, it's probably. Are much more hating me now because of what they definitely know me, but I don't know if they like me at the moment.
That can be a good thing.
Yeah, it's good. When they say no,
pays.
It's there again. Look, it's it's just again, it was that was a big card. You know what I mean? The world was watching that. I think they've done 1.3 million buys. So that's pretty big, especially obviously with the timing and things like that.
So you've got 20 or 30 million?
Hey, I wish I got that. But I mean, we do get a touch of the pay per view, so that's good.
Oh, that's good.
That's why I had to be in the that card. That's why I was like, man, I've got to be in this card. So I knew I got wind that it was going to be 3 title fights and things like that. So that's why I was like, man, it's a big opportunity. Let's just do it.
Do they give you a date now to work towards as to when the next fight might be?
No, not really. Again, they're gonna sort of leave it up to us as well. But I mean, I like to stay active. And again, I can't fight forever. So I want one before the year's out. But again, I want to let the division. I don't want them asking me, who do you want now? I was like, well, let the division play itself out for give me a month or 2. We'll see how they again, we've got guys that are meant to be fighting each other that are right up there, and I guarantee you they win. One of them wins in wild fashion. Everyone's going to be screaming their name, and they're going to completely forget about Max, the trilogy. They're going to forget about Henry Cejudo calling me out. That's just going to be the name everyone's calling. So I just got to let it play out. Got my eye on all of them. Like I said, I'm a champ. I'm chasing these contenders. I've got my eye on every single one of them.
What about in terms of a training camp? If you do get towards that, are you going to be able to go to New Zealand again like you usually do, or don't know?
We don't know. We don't know what's it. But I mean, over there in New Zealand, it's
things are under control.
Yeah, things are pretty good. But the thing is, what do I go there?
Do 2 weeks.
You know what I mean? The 2-week quarantine, and then then without the film. So okay, you can go there and give yourself enough time in the camp, but that's like you're going to be 8 weeks away from your family or something like that or more. It's hard. So we just know. I guess we've got to wait, or just take the whole family there. But 2-week quarantine with your family, with the kids in a room.
Yeah, that sounds tough.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. You would have watched Israel Adesanya's journey from up close, obviously being a teammate. He's got all the makings of a legitimate superstar, mainstream star, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I mean, I remember meeting him the first time I met him. He was already had a bit of hype around him. He was only kickboxing at the time. He might have had a couple of fights, MMA fights, but just some guys are just different. You know what I mean? And there is this. He is different. Like I remember just being at the beach with him in Thailand, and again, people were talking to me, so I knew that he was a somebody. And he's just in the beach, and you could just hear him talking about soaking up the just little things. I was like, and then just things he said. I was like, you could put that in a movie. You know what I mean? Put a camera on him, and that looks cool. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just there. So but he's actually a really cool dude. So a lot of people, I don't know what's their take on him, but he's actually really respectful and good dude. So I got nothing but respect for him. Obviously, with the Rob Whittaker and him fighting and that as well, because I know Rob Whittaker pretty well. But then I got you got Israel. He's like a teammate of mine. The blood, sweat, and tears we put in the, what I mean. Yeah. So it was tough. So a lot of people couldn't get their head around that. But I was like, mate, But again, I support all the Australian and New Zealand fighters. But obviously Izzy and my teammates are really close with.
His ring walks are a bit flashier than yours too.
I reckon I got a little. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, no, I got.
His last ring walk was pretty. Was pretty out there.
Which one?
Israel's.
Yeah. I mean, it was. The dance as well. Like, I did know about that. I knew that he was going to do that because I ended up seeing him the night before the fight, and they were going to do the dance routine. Yeah. So they were going to the arena to do the dance so he could visualize, and you know, because he's all about visualization, and like he'll go there and like, and I'm a little bit different with my visualization, but it's just cool to see him. He visualizes every little weird, like, you know, little things like that, walking out. Where I'm more of the visualization that I use is fight specific stuff. Like, you know, in a cage, like you see me drilling a position, like even if it's me shadow boxing, like there's someone fucking there. Like that's how much I'm visualizing, you know what I mean? But that's exactly. But he does it with everything. So you'll see him, like even while he's walking down, he's pretending he's shaking someone's hand, you know, like everything. The
only problem with that is if they lose. They're going to cop it.
Yeah. But it's just, again, like it's just, man, it's, you know, a lot of people, obviously you look at it, is a cockiness in it, but man, when you really do believe in yourself, like you got your Conor McGregors and all that, like, you know, it does go a long way as well. They're hard to beat when...
If you don't believe in yourself.
Yeah, exactly right. You got the confidence, and then the clear, you know, you got to be confident, because in the fight, if you're not confident, you're not as clear. You know, you sort of need to have that clarity in there, and that confidence really does help with that, I believe. And that's why you see some of the best guys that usually are reasonably confident. I ain't the cocky type, as I always say. I'm confident, not cocky. You know what I mean? So, but you know, I'm definitely pretty confident in my abilities. So I go in there very clear.
Have you had much to do with him, Conor McGregor?
Nah, not Conor McGregor. No, not at all. No, I haven't even met him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I haven't met him. So well, my the guys that some of the guys that look after me work with, like his managers and things like that. So I've met his managers and things like that. So I know a little bit about him, but I don't know him personally.
Who were your idols growing up? Who did you look up
MMA,
to?
it was Chuck Liddell, back in Chuck Liddell's days. And like, I mean, I used to love him. Like I was a diehard fan. I remember when he ended up getting knocked out by Rashad Evans. I thought he was on his way back, because he was winning forever, and then he lost again, and then he ended up getting a win. I'm like, he's back, and then just this massive knockout that just... I remember I was concreting, this is back when I was concreting, I'm shoveling, and you see me literally stop shoveling, I put my hand, I'm still shaking like 3-4 days later, like that's how devastated I was. So I'd have to say Chuck Liddell was definitely one of them. Yeah. So, but I mean, again, wasn't any real reason, I loved him as a fighter. Yeah, pretty much.
Beautiful.
That's it.
Well, mate, I want to just say it's been an honour having you here, man. Sitting beside you, it's pretty good, brother. So
was it? Oh, he's one of my idols here too. You know what
I just want to say thank you, and I'm sure all the boys have had a great.
I tell you what, my coach is jealous he's not here right now. That's for sure. So.
Pleasure to have you here, mate. Thanks a lot, and good luck in your next fight whenever that turns up.
All right, cheers,
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Don't forget to subscribe. Standing 8. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.